Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Young and the Restless channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and hit like for more daily drama updates and spoilers. Your support truly means a lot and helps our channel grow every day. Now, let's jump straight into today's exciting update. The quiet halls of the hospital had barely begun to recover from one terrifying crisis when an even darker tragedy started to unfold, proving once again that danger has a way of striking when no one expects it. What should have been a place of healing suddenly transformed into the setting for another nightmare, as fear crept silently through every corridor. The tension had been building ever since Patty Williams slipped unnoticed into Jack Abbott's hospital room, carrying a syringe filled with a mysterious substance that she fully intended to use as the final chapter of her twisted obsession. Patty believed that if Jack never regained consciousness, he would never expose her as the person responsible for his brutal attack. In her desperate and impulsive state of mind, she convinced herself that silencing him forever was the only way to protect her secret, no matter how devastating the consequences would be. Yet fate often has cruel plans of its own, and instead of completing the deadly mission she had imagined, Patty's reckless actions were about to leave someone else fighting for every precious heartbeat. As the terrifying confrontation spiraled beyond anyone's control, Diane Jenkins Abbott found herself standing directly in the path of unimaginable danger, unaware that her life was about to change forever. The shocking events reached their horrifying climax during the July 9th episode, as Patty's frantic attempt to escape turned into a desperate chase that no one could have predicted. Every second felt heavier than the last, as emotions erupted and panic consumed everyone involved. Then, in one devastating instant, Patty drove the syringe into Diane's neck, delivering the injection that had originally been intended for Jack. The moment unfolded with breathtaking speed, leaving everyone frozen in horror as Diane became the innocent victim of Patty's violent desperation. Although the contents of the syringe have not yet been revealed, one terrifying fact cannot be ignored. Patty had planned to use it to kill Jack. That chilling truth now casts an enormous shadow over Diane's fate, because whatever deadly substance Patty carried is now coursing through Diane's body instead. The horrifying realization leaves little room for optimism, and suddenly the joyful future Diane had hoped to rebuild with Jack is replaced by an uncertain battle for survival. As the medical emergency erupts around her, Diane's loved ones are thrown into complete emotional chaos. Kyle Abbott is expected to become absolutely overwhelmed as doctors race against the clock, doing everything within their power to stabilize his mother before it's too late. Watching someone you love hover between life and death is a pain unlike any other, and Kyle will be forced to endure every agonizing second while desperately searching the faces of the medical team for even the smallest sign of hope. Fortunately, one crucial detail may become Diane's greatest lifeline. Because the attack happened inside the hospital itself, emergency doctors can begin treatment almost immediately, giving her a fighting chance that she otherwise might never have had. If Patty had carried out this horrifying assault somewhere far from medical help, the outcome could have been tragically different. Instead of losing precious minutes waiting for help to arrive, Diane is surrounded by professionals prepared to fight for her life from the very first moment. Even with that immediate medical response, however, the road ahead promises to be painfully uncertain. Saving Diane's life may only be the beginning of a much longer and more heartbreaking struggle. Because surviving the injection does not necessarily mean waking up right away. The doctors may manage to stabilize her condition, but the devastating effects of the mysterious substance could leave her trapped in a coma, suspended somewhere between life and consciousness. Such an outcome would be almost unbearable for everyone who loves her, especially for Jack Abbott, whose greatest wish has always been to rebuild the beautiful life they once shared. Instead of celebrating a long-awaited reunion, Jack could soon find himself staring helplessly at the woman he loves, praying for the miracle of seeing her open her eyes again. The silence surrounding Diane's hospital room would become far more painful than any words could ever express, with every passing hour testing the strength and hope of the Abbott family. What should have been a joyful new beginning suddenly threatens to become one of the darkest chapters they have ever faced. As doctors continue their relentless fight to save Diane, another heartbreaking decision begins to take shape among those closest to Jack Abbott. Although Jack is expected to regain consciousness and become fully alert in the coming episodes, his family may decide that revealing Diane's horrifying condition immediately would only place an unbearable strain on his own recovery. After everything Jack has already endured, they may believe he needs a little more time to regain his strength before confronting yet another devastating tragedy. It is a choice born out of love rather than deception, but keeping such painful news hidden is never easy, especially when the person being protected is desperate for answers. Every conversation around Jack's hospital room could become carefully measured, every expression guarded, and every unexpected silence heavy with emotion. The family may do everything they can to shield him from the truth, hoping that even a brief delay will spare him additional suffering while his body continues to heal. Yet some truths are simply too powerful to remain hidden forever. And Jack's instincts have rarely failed him when the people he loves are in danger. Before long, Jack is almost certain to sense that something is terribly wrong. Diane's absence from his bedside will stand out immediately, creating an unsettling silence that no reassuring smile or carefully chosen explanation can erase. She is the person he would naturally expect to see the moment he opens his eyes, offering comfort, strength, and hope after everything they have endured together. If she never arrives, Jack's concern will quickly transform into suspicion, and the unanswered questions will begin to consume him. He may notice the anxious glances exchanged between family members, the hesitation in their voices, and the painful attempts to change the subject whenever Diane's name is mentioned. Those subtle signs will only deepen his growing fear until he can no longer accept vague reassurances. Eventually, Jack will demand the truth, unwilling to remain in the dark while his loved ones continue carrying a burden he knows they are trying to protect him from.
When the full story is finally revealed, the emotional impact is likely to hit Jack with overwhelming force. Learning that Diane became Patty Williams' victim while trying to stop another act of violence will leave him drowning in guilt and heartbreak. Instead of feeling relieved that he survived, Jack may find himself questioning every decision that led to this tragic chain of events. He will almost certainly blame himself for failing to make sure Patty had truly been stopped after her original plan fell apart. Looking back, Jack may realize that Patty was far too unstable to simply disappear after her scheme was interrupted, and he will wish with every part of his heart that he had somehow prevented everything that followed. In his mind, if he had acted differently, perhaps neither his own stabbing nor Diane's terrifying syringe attack would ever have happened.
Those painful thoughts will haunt him, creating emotional wounds that may prove just as difficult to heal as his physical injuries. Sadly, there is no way to change what has already happened. No amount of regret can turn back time or erase the terrifying moments that placed Diane's life in jeopardy. Jack may take some comfort in knowing that Patty has finally been arrested and can no longer threaten the people he loves. But even that victory will feel painfully hollow if Diane remains unconscious. Every passing hour beside her hospital bed will become another emotional test as he searches for any sign that she is still fighting her way back to him. The uncertainty surrounding her condition will weigh heavily on his heart, forcing him to confront the frightening possibility that the woman he loves may never wake up. It is a fear capable of breaking even the strongest spirit, and Jack will be left clinging to hope while battling the crushing guilt that refuses to let him rest.
The tragedy is especially cruel because for months, Jack's greatest dream has been remarkably simple. After everything they had survived together, all he wanted was the chance to reunite with Diane completely and restore their marriage to the loving partnership they had fought so hard to protect. He envisioned a future filled with second chances, healing, and happiness after so much pain and uncertainty. Instead, fate has delivered another devastating obstacle, replacing hope with heartbreak, and forcing Jack to spend his days worrying over the woman who should have been standing beside him. Rather than celebrating a new beginning, he may now find himself sitting beside Diane's hospital bed, desperately waiting for the miracle that could bring her back. At the same time, his anger toward Patty's senseless destruction will continue to burn, knowing that one reckless act has shattered the peace his family had struggled so hard to reclaim. As this emotional story continues to unfold, the road ahead promises to be filled with difficult choices, painful revelations, and heartbreaking uncertainty. Jack's recovery will no longer be defined solely by his own injuries, but by the desperate hope that Diane can overcome the devastating consequences of Patty's attack. The Abbott family will be forced to stand together through one of their darkest moments, refusing to give up even as fear threatens to overwhelm them. Every heartbeat, every medical update, and every small sign of progress will carry enormous emotional weight as they wait for Diane's fate to become clear. Whether this terrifying ordeal ultimately strengthens the family or leaves permanent scars remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: the coming episodes will test Jack, Diane, and everyone who loves them in ways they never imagined. The Young and the Restless spoilers make it clear that Jack's most difficult moments are still ahead, and the emotional aftermath of Patty's shocking actions is only just beginning.